News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 9:01, it's 71 degrees this morning. On our way to a high around 80. Could reach that record high of 81. Partly cloudy. It will be breezy. Cloudy tonight and down to 66. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Adam Roberts. Police still investigating after a violent evening on Milwaukee roads leads to 2 damaged squad cars. Police vehicles receiving severe damage in separate crashes Monday evening. One near 11th and Greenfield on the city's south side and one at Sherman and North on the north side. MPD has not confirmed what led up to each crash or if anyone was injured. It comes as one Milwaukee alderman is issuing a warning about Milwaukee's declining police numbers.
Despite robust recruiting classes, MPD continues to lose more officers than it gains.
Have to figure out a way to grow and retain.
Milwaukee Alderman Lamont Westmoreland tells me that last year MPD recruited 101 new officers but lost 117 to retirement, resignation, or termination.
I've got constituents that ask for additional patrol, and I always request it, but even if I request it, it doesn't always mean it's going to happen.
This year, the department will once again lose more than 100 officers. John Merkier, WTMJ News.
Decision, Wisconsin. We are a week away officially from Election Day 2024. It's an off day in Wisconsin with no presidential campaign visits scheduled for today. However, the state will see visits from both Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump tomorrow in Madison and Green Bay, respectively. On Monday, campaign stops included both vice presidential nominees with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz at Wisconsin Aluminum Foundry in Manitowoc in the morning.
Folks in Wisconsin don't fear the future. You just build the future. We need to give you something to go into that voting booth. Those who haven't already early voted, give you something to vote for, not just against.
As well as Republican Ohio Senator J.D. Vance in Racine.
Thank you. It is great to be here in Racine, Wisconsin. But it's going to be even better in 8 days because I think we're going to win the state of Wisconsin.
In addition to tomorrow's visits, former President Bill Clinton is expected to campaign for Vice President Harris in Milwaukee on Thursday. An investigation is underway following fires at 2 ballot boxes in the Pacific Northwest. Police in Portland, Oregon say many of the ballots were unaffected. However, hundreds were destroyed in a separate incident in Vancouver, Washington. Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega-Peterson.
Please do not let today's incidents or anything that happens between now and Election Day to keep you from expressing yourself with your vote. Our democracy depends on you, and you can depend on us to keep this process safe and secure.
No one is in custody. However, investigators have identified a suspect's car leaving the scene of the fire in Portland. And back at home, the Milwaukee County Transit System is planning a daily fare cap increase for 2025. The daily max amount riders would pay per day will increase from $4 to $5. Single rides will still cost $2 apiece. The increases are subject to approval from the County Board of Supervisors. MCTS says they would be the first for the system since 2019 and are necessary to maintain revenue for the system. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update, checking the majors this hour. Modest decrease for the Dow, down 39 points at 42,348. The Nasdaq is up 23 at 18,590, and the S&P 500 basically starting now where they finished yesterday at 5,821. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Too early to hit the panic button for the Bucks? We'll check that, plus the roads and your 5-day forecast up next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 9:05.
WTMJ's Greg Matzik here for Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac. Hey, gear up for fall and winter adventures at a new Chevrolet, Buick, or GMC. Score deep closeout savings on many, stackable with enticing offers to lower your bottom line and payment. Holiday's Truck Month sale is on. The destination to get more truck or SUV for your buck, more for your trade, while you enjoy the transparency and ease of their simplified buying approach and warm and genuine guest care. It's the stuff that delights and makes fans of drivers from all over. Fans like me and thousands of others who appreciate the many ways Team Holiday makes car shopping fun, simple, and pressure-free. Navigate today's car market with confidence with Wisconsin's #1 Buick and GMC dealer on your side. Accolades are per 2023 Buick and GMC zone sales records. Treat yourself to a test drive. Find yours and discover the difference at Holiday, Chevrolet, Buick and GMC, Highway 41 and 23 in Fond du Lac, and at holidaygm.com. It's worth the trip.
What can happen if you don't have an estate plan?
Your assets may not go to your intended heirs.
Dan Kraus from Kraus Estate Planning and Elder Law Center.
If you're in a second marriage, are you sure that your spouse and your children aren't going to fight over your stuff after you're gone? Loved ones could face financial hardship. The courts may decide on guardianship for your children. You may leave behind nothing because of nursing expenses. I've seen all of these things happen. Don't let them happen to your family.
Contact Kraus Estate Planning and Elder Law Center at estateplanningpeople.com.
Staying active, essential for overall health. Proper medical support, essential for staying active. WTMJ's Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Whether it's keeping a weekend warrior like me on the tennis court or keeping young athletes in the game, you want the best in sports medicine. That's OAW. Surgeons, nurses, and physical therapists help you recover from injury, avoid injury in the future, and enhance performance. Get care 7 days a week. Walk right in at an Ortho ASAP clinic or book an appointment online at orthowisconsin.com.
Time for a WTMJ sports update from the Gruber Law Office's one call, That's All Sports Desk.
Giannis working on Holiday, went right past his old teammate and stuffs it down with a one-hand dunk.
Dave Kane on the call, but that Giannis dunk wouldn't be enough for the Bucks against Boston. Milwaukee falls 119-108. Bucks now 1-3 to start the year. Giannis finishing with 30 points. He says it's too early to hit that panic button.
It's the fourth game of the season. Even if we sucked, even if we were very, very bad, it's the fourth game of the season. Like, you have to be optimistic.
Next up is Memphis on Thursday night, right here on your home of the Bucks, WTMJ. In the Bronx.
It is a fastball. It's ripped down the line. It is gone! A fifth consecutive World Series game with a Freddie Freeman home run.
Joe Davis with the call on Fox as the Dodgers top the Yankees 4-2. The Trolley Dodgers now hold a 3-0 World Series lead. New York looks to avoid an early elimination in Game 4 tonight. And on Monday Night Football, it was the Steelers victorious over the Giants 26-18. Let's check the roads. Your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. We are largely incident-free. Just one broken down vehicle right in the stadium interchange near Highway 175 as you head north from 94 east. That's on the right shoulder. Out of traffic, but noticeable as you work your way past it. The only slow spot right now is 43 south from just north of Hampton down to about Capitol Drive. You'll be tapping the brakes a bit. The rest of the system right now looking pretty good.
Traffic is sponsored by Annex Wealth Management. It's time to know the difference, and Annex Wealth Management is ready to help with investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning as a fee-only fiduciary partner. AnnexWealth.com. Click the Get Started button.
The WTMJ forecast for today, we will approach the record of 81 for the high, but it will be a windy 81, partly cloudy as well. Gusts could reach around 40 miles per hour. Cloudy, windy tonight, down to 66. Next rain chance comes late on Wednesday into the overnight. We could again approach the high of 78, the record that is. Morning rain then Thursday, falling temperatures down from a high of 65. They'll fall throughout the day. Mostly sunny Friday and 52, partly cloudy Saturday with a high of 59 degrees. Right now in Madison, it's partly cloudy and 69, sun in Green Bay and 68, Waukesha, sunny and 70 degrees, and in Milwaukee, the warm spot, sunny skies and 71. I'm Adam Roberts, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Times 910.
Good morning, Wisconsin. So let's pour that coffee and talk to some experts about what's going on in Milwaukee, Madison, Washington, and beyond. Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ. Here's your host, Steve Scaffidi.
Should we talk about the government?
And good morning. Welcome to Tuesday edition of the Political Power Hour at 620 WTMJ. That means, first up, conservative writer James Wigderson joins us on the phone. Hey, James.
Hey, Steve.
Writes Life Under Construction, twice weekly newsletter covering politics and a whole lot more. All right, so let's talk, James, about what some of us read. I've actually listened to a lot of it now. The rally of sorts, Donald Trump, his campaign, Madison Square Garden, New York City over the weekend. Lots of negative fallout, including a comedian, and I'm air quoting that, you can't see it, comedian, who took a shot at Puerto Rico and for a demographic that probably matters in this race. Just give me your thoughts on the idea of this rally in a state that Donald Trump's probably not going to win, what you think his motivation was if he had one. other than ego, and what this might mean for the race going forward.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with the ego part of it. Donald Trump has never been really accepted in New York polite society. This was his way of trying to rub it into everybody's faces that, hey, I really am popular in New York. And that was the goal. I mean, what New Yorker doesn't want to do a one-man show in Madison Square Garden and sell it out, right?
Yeah.
But it certainly has backfired. Americans got to see the real Donald Trump and the real Donald Trump campaign. It wasn't just that one comedian who, by the way, not only insulted Puerto Ricans, but he insulted everybody, Jews, African Americans. He made a watermelon remark. I mean, the guy is just really bad news. And by the way, for the Trump people to claim that they didn't know what was coming, they loaded his jokes into the teleprompter, so they definitely knew what was coming.
Well, to be fair, James, it did take out the C word that he was intending to use, which is not a very polite way to refer to some women. They took that out, but they left the watermelon joke in and the insults towards Puerto Rico. The comedian's name is, I believe, Tony Hinchcliffe. I never heard of the guy, which is, I guess, not that surprising because he's not that good and he wasn't that funny. But it's a serious miscalculation when in many of these states, including Pennsylvania, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people of Puerto Rican descent or Puerto Rican nationality who are U.S. nationality who are really offended by this and are saying so out loud. That can't be a good thing for the Trump campaign.
No, and in the larger Latino community, it certainly doesn't help Trump either because I mean, it certainly makes the case that Donald Trump is not fond of people that are not of white skin, and this is his track record in the past, and he's now reinforced it. It's certainly not going to help Donald Trump in states like you said, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Michigan, and he deserves to be punished for inviting this guy on. Apparently he liked him, but, there's a time and a place for everything. And it's certainly not during the end of a political campaign when you're trying to make your final pitch to the voters.
I hear often from a few people that I actually respect their opinion that say maybe Trump doesn't want to win this race. Maybe he just wants to be perpetually offended, be the agitator, be the celebrity of sorts who just shows up at rallies, makes money. You buy that?
No, I don't. Given how hard he fought to win the 2020 election, even after it was clear that he lost, I believe that Donald Trump is going to do everything he can to win this election. And if he can't win it fair and square, he is going to try to swipe it after the election. They're already laying the groundwork for challenges from one end of this country to the other. And certainly I don't believe that Donald Trump is ever going to be happy coming in second place.
Barring a big Trump win, which I'm not predicting, I don't think it's going to happen. What is the likelihood that 2020? I think I've asked you this before, but I think it's good to focus on with the latest news that they're sort of irritating huge segments of the population at the end of the race. Like the impact of all of this litigation, will it be worse than 2024? Will we see more of it? Will it splinter the nation in a worse way? Not that you could have a worse scenario than January 6, 2021. What might we see? What might we expect?
Well, it's going to depend on how many states are close and how many fights that there are going to be. I mean, the one thing about Bush versus Gore in 2000, it was really confined to one state, Florida. There was a potential it could have expanded to Wisconsin and to New Mexico, but really it was just one state, and that's where the fight was, and that was bad enough. Here you could have a reenactment of threats of violence and threats towards poll workers, and you could have riots literally outside of places where they're counting the ballots and recounts. It's all sorts of things your worst nightmares that you can imagine, you better start imagining them because they could happen.
One of the things I haven't heard about, and maybe I should be paying closer attention to this, is sort of the amping up of security and law enforcement in and around our election process. I don't know if you've heard anything. I haven't seen anything other than I've heard from a few chiefs that they're prepared for something to happen. Have we seen an escalation of readiness related to the election?
That's what we're told. However, so much of it just seems to be we're going to threaten that if anybody interferes with an election or interferes with a poll worker, that they're going to be severely punished. That seems to be the gist of the readiness that we're seeing. I could be wrong, but part of the problem is you have that balance. You have that fine line of how much police presence do you want at the polls? Do you want enough police there that actually intimidates potential voters? That's a real question. How much of a police presence is tolerable when you're going to vote? You do not want to frighten away voters. So how much are you going to spend on security and have people there ready in case something bad happens? Plus, there's so many polling stations, so many places where ballots can be counted. On Monday, we had reports of ballot boxes being burned in the state of Washington. How many places can you protect?
James Wiggerson, conservative writer, will continue the conversation after this on 620 WTMJ.
Hey Bucks fans, it's Justin Garcia from the Bucks Radio Network, here to tell you about the launch of the Bucks Central podcast feed. Everything Bucks, on demand, in one spot. From sideline to sideline, hear all the ankle-breaking, rim-rattling, and twine-tingling highlights, exclusive interviews, and more. Subscribe to the Bucks Central podcast feed wherever you get your podcasts. All the Bucks content your heart desires in one spot. Check out the Bucks Central podcast feed.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Advent. Snoring, tossing and turning, restless nights of sleep, all of those things does not make for a rested and refreshed morning. I did something about it. I went to Advent. Love their facilities, love their docs, and in a 30-minute conversation, they put me at ease. They answered all my questions. Now, everybody's different problems, different solutions. With a really simple sleep study at home combined with my conversation, they determined my problem, sinuses and nasal passages, my breathing triangle. After a very short procedure in one of their offices, since then, which is now, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, I'm back to breathing better than ever, sleeping through the whole night. That on its own is worth it. If you struggle like I used to, take the time to see how Advent can help you. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to adventknows.com and schedule an appointment today, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Jeff Zergabel of Pasternak and Zergabel. Frank Pasternak and I are injury lawyers living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
And continue our conversation with writer James Wiggerson. Writes a twice-weekly newsletter. It's brilliant writing. Life Under Construction. Where can they find your great work, James?
They can find it at jameswigderson.com. I publish a newsletter every Monday and Thursday, and there's a little button that tells you how to become a member and subscribe.
Let's have some fun with the predictions for next Tuesday. Since the last time I'm going to talk to you until election night, and James is going to join me here at WTMJ. We'll start with the big race for president. What's your expectation? What do you think might happen either election night or the days after?
Well, I think it's going to be extremely close. There's going to be some surprise state out there that nobody was counting on one way or the other. And you can expect that certainly there's going to be challenges. There's going to be a lot of paranoia out there that the election was stolen one way or the other. That includes on the Democratic side too. They're not going to be completely innocent if Donald Trump wins. And then you're going to see a lot of potential for screaming a fraud. Certainly on election night, probably before you and I go on the air, you're going to see Donald Trump declare victory, whether or not he has the votes in yet. He's going to certainly declare victory in an attempt to prevent the Democrats from declaring victory prematurely, and he's going to do it before the absentee ballots all are counted.
I'm going to agree with you on the surprise. I think we're going to be surprised by a few states. I'll say this. I think that the outlier in this election is the number of Republican voters who will either not vote in the presidential race, which I think would be sad, or that have chosen now to vote for Kamala Harris. And how big that number is, we can have that debate after the election, but I think it's going to be bigger than most people think. So if I'm just going to put my my neck out there, I'm going to say a Kamala Harris slim victory, electoral victory in the race for president. All right, let's go to U.S. Senate. We're told, James Wigderson, that the race has tightened very close. You buying it? Because Tammy Baldwin typically doesn't have close races.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time buying it. Normally, the way to win a U.S. Senate race in the Trump era is the Ron Johnson model, where you run a campaign that's relatively independent of the former president. You don't mention his name at all, and you ignore the people in Washington, D.C., and you run an independent campaign. Eric Hovde has certainly embraced Donald Trump, mentions Donald Trump in so many of his ads and in his appearances, and makes joint appearances with Donald Trump. People need to remember is that in 2016, Ron Johnson got more votes than Donald Trump did in Wisconsin. And it was Ron Johnson's victory that possibly carried Donald Trump over in that election. Eric Hovde is counting on coattails to work the other way. I really have a hard time believing that that's the way the election is going to work.
Just to be a contrarian, I'll say Hovde in a slim margin over Baldwin, but I have no knowledge that anyone else has. That's my feel on that race. All right, let's talk about a couple high-profile congressional races. Van Orden, I should say, and Rebecca Cook on the western side of the state. Does she have a chance to beat him?
I think she has a shot. The latest reports are that the Democratic National Congressional Committee and all the various Democratic funding mechanisms are out there still funding ads in that race. They haven't given up on her yet. He has certainly been a quirky character, to put it mildly, to put it nicely. And certainly his antics in Washington, D.C. have probably alienated a few voters. It's going to be very interesting to see if there's enough there. She's not a big name, though. That's the one thing that concerns me. It's very hard to defeat an incumbent in a district that has gone for Donald Trump in the past. Without a big name carrying you across the line, as much as Mark Pocan has been campaigning for, I really think that Derek Van Orden has probably got the upper edge in that, but nobody's giving up on the Democratic side on that race yet.
No, and with a big Democratic turn, I'm going to say Cook just because it's an upset. All right, let's go to Weed-Lyerly on the northeastern side of the states. Tony Weed, obviously, he's supported by Donald Trump, of course. Lyerly, a nice medical pedigree, not necessarily a political pedigree, smart woman. I've heard some interviews with her. Any chance that Lyerly pulls the upset?
Well, there's a chance, but I don't think anybody is talking about this race for the simple reason that Weed probably is going to be the winner in that race. Outside of that district, nobody is talking about the race, and I would not. I would be very surprised, actually, if the Democrats pull it off. But they could. I mean, it's a swing part of the state, certainly, but realistically, Weed has not done anything that I've seen that has made himself look like a candidate that should not be elected to public office. He hasn't embarrassed himself in any way.
I'll go Weed 52-48, and we'll see what happens. All right, James, you're going to join me in the studio here at 620 WTMJ. We'll be breaking out all the latest news as it comes in. Can't wait to hang out. I don't think we've ever done that on election night, so sort of fun for our audience, fun for me, and together we'll sort of sort out what the latest concerns in this election counting, and perhaps even have a winner, although I'm not counting at it. What do you think?
I'm hoping that we have one before breakfast.
And I will take you to breakfast if you would like. James Wigderson, always great conversation. We do it every Tuesday here on 620 WTMJ. Thanks, James.
Thanks, Steve.
The Upswing is your place for commerce and community.
If someone you know, someone you love, needs an ID to vote, you take them to the DMV.
Hosted by Jeff Sherman.
The Division of Motor Vehicles, reminding us that citizens can obtain identification free of charge that is valid for voting.
Weekdays from 10 to 11 on WTMJ. Presented by Horicon Bank, the natural choice for all your banking needs.
Here's what Tammy Baldwin thinks about President Trump and you.
Donald Trump might be one of the most offensive and hateful
and unacceptable presidential candidates we've ever had. So what does that say about the people who support him?
Tammy Baldwin is a liberal snob. Vote her out.
I'm Eric Hovde, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message. Join my team and give today.
Visit WisconsinVictoryJFC.com to give today. Paid for by Wisconsin Victory Committee.
How much does it cost to talk to Gruber Law Offices after a serious crash? It's free. Yes, free. As in it won't cost you anything to speak with us. Not sure if you have a case? Call our team at Gruber Law Offices today. Your first call and your first consultation are always free. And you'll never pay us a fee until we win your case. If you've been seriously injured, call Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
We all have someone we know or love that has been affected by some form of cancer.
No matter how well you love and support them and try to be there for them, you can never really know what a person is feeling after hearing the words, "You have breast cancer."
Only another person that has been through this experience can really understand what it feels like.
ABCD, After Breast Cancer Diagnosis, is a Milwaukee-based organization known around the world.
When someone calls ABCD, they are matched with a mentor who is a breast cancer survivor of similar age and had the same type of breast cancer who can provide hope when people need it the most.
Kessler's is excited to announce that we've designed a new Hope Pendant for 2024 to honor breast cancer patients, survivors, thrivers, and caregivers.
100% of the net proceeds, along with an additional donation from Kessler's, will support ABCD when you purchase a symbol of hope.
You can find a link with more information about ABCD, along with the new 2024 Hope Pendant, starting at just $75 in sterling silver and $500 in gold, online at KesslersDiamonds.com.
Shower your tongue space with like use an update. WTMJ and Sidex have you paired together. We pair together to give you a tub or shower conversion if you're lucky enough to get a pull out of the assembled names that are all put in pictures, right? So this is your chance to get that full maker. All you need to take a picture of your shower and tub space, then text the word creepy, CREEPY. The WTMJ talking text line 855-616-1620. 855-616-1620. Submit your picture and you can win a full conversion from our friends at Sidex for contest rules. Visit our website at WTMJ.com. Jeremy Janine, great reporter at Urban Milwaukee, jumping in the studio. We'll spend a couple segments talking about the news of the day. Before we get to the bottom of the hour news here, local and ABC, and I see that Donald Trump's going to be speaking momentarily in Mar-a-Lago this morning, so we'll probably try to get some of that into the news. Jeremy, election early voting and election preview, what's your sort of overarching comments about all of that?
Well, the good news is the state seems to have fixed its issue. They were having a major IT issue which impacted early voting sites everywhere, not just in Milwaukee, not just in Madison, not just in conservative Spencer, Wisconsin.
It had to do with this label they were printing for the early votes.
That's where it ended. It ultimately had to do with the label because that's what you use this system.
Right.
You go to early vote, they go to the state website, it generates this label, and it slaps it on your envelope.
Good news is we don't use that during the actual election.
Correct.
Those are live ballots shoved right into the machine.
Yep, and you sign the poll book.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you take? What's your take? What do you think? What do you think all this early voting demonstrated?
I think it demonstrated there's a huge enthusiasm for voting. That's what we're seeing. Initially, the figures were, at least looking at Milwaukee in particular, were not exceeding that 2020 total, which is not a great apples to apples because 2020 was the pandemic and people were a bit concerned about being in person. But now we're seeing those totals continue to go up. There's sustained enthusiasm, and it might have been dampened at first because it just took so darn long to vote.
Enthusiasm. That's a good thing. I hope a lot of people vote. Obviously, early voting continues till Sunday, and then obviously the big day, Tuesday. We are all showing up to cast our votes. We got local news coming up before we get to any of that. Maybe even some Donald Trump. The latest now from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Donald Trump is preparing to talk to reporters ahead of his rally in Allentown, Pennsylvania today. His campaign continuing to deal with the fallout from a weekend rally at which one comedian referred to Puerto Rico as a floating pile of garbage. There's ABC's Rachel Scott at Mar-a-Lago.
We have reported that the Trump campaign, of course, did select that comedian as well as other speakers to deliver remarks ahead of the former president's address as well. He did not take the opportunity to denounce the comments, but in a statement, his campaign has said that those comments do not reflect the views of the former president or his campaign.
Consumer confidence up as Americans head into Election Day. The Conference Board says its confidence index, which measures Americans' expectations for jobs, income, and business, jumped quite a bit in October from September. Job openings last month, however, tumbled to their lowest level since January of 2021. Labor Department says they're still above pre-pandemic levels. This is ABC News.
Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 9:31. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Adam Roberts. A violent evening on Milwaukee roads includes 2 damaged squad cars, one near 11th and Greenfield Monday night on the city's south side and one at Sherman and North on the north side. MPD still not confirming what led up to each of those crashes or if anyone was injured. Milwaukee Public Schools will lay out further details tonight on their plans and their long-range facilities master plan to potentially close or merge up to 13 schools across the city. The district is maintaining no decisions are final and no closures are expected for at least the next 2 academic years. And the city of Milwaukee sounding the alarm about high wildfire risks in southeast Wisconsin, which has seen very little precipitation this month, leading to moderate to severe drought conditions. Fire officials recommend avoiding outdoor burning until conditions improve, and burn permits for debris burning are currently suspended in numerous Wisconsin counties. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Turning green for all 3 of the majors right now. The Dow's up 14 points at 42,402. The Nasdaq up 47 at 18,614. And the S&P 500 is up 4 points at 5,828. Elections have consequences. Is your investment and retirement plan ready for what's next? Click the Get Started button at annexwealth.com. Let's check the roads. Your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. We have a lane closure right now on 94 North, just north of National Avenue. The right lane blocked due to a broken down vehicle just over National, so you'll want to move over to the left. And as I speak, it looks like they are starting to clear that up, actually, so we should see that closure alleviate here in just a couple of moments. Otherwise, just a few smattering broken down vehicles across the system. We're looking pretty good at this hour. And your WTMJ forecast for today, we're going to flirt with a record high of 81. It will be a windy 81, though, with gusts up to 40 miles per hour. We should stay dry today and tonight as well, with a low down to 66. Mostly cloudy, continued warm and windy on your Wednesday, approaching the record of 78. We will see showers and thunderstorms move through late in the day, as well as overnight Wednesday. Morning rain Thursday will start with a high of 65, then temperatures will fall throughout the day. Down to 52, mostly sunny Friday, partly cloudy Saturday with a high of 59 degrees. Right now in Milwaukee, sunny skies and 72. I'm Adam Roberts, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Times 9:34.
With the upcoming election, now is the perfect time to think about your financial future. Changes in policies and taxes can impact your retirement plans and cost you thousands. Hi, I'm Tony Drake at Drake & Associates. We can help you prepare for these changes and ensure you're on the right track for a secure retirement. Don't leave your financial well-being to chance. Text PREPARE to 414-441-5451 to schedule a complimentary consultation and get our free Retirement Ready Toolkit. That's PREPARE to 414-441-5451. Drake & Associates, plan smart, retire happy.
Drake & Associates is an independent investment advisory firm that offers different investment vehicles. All insurance products are backed by the issuing insurance company. This commercial is provided for information purposes only.
Restaurant prices are soaring, but not at the Mine Shaft restaurant in Hartford. WTMJ's John Mercure here, one of my favorite places, family-owned for almost 50 years. I took my daughters there. Great memories. It's super affordable, and it's so much fun. Every Tuesday, the authentic Mexican buffet is all you can eat, and it's just $9.99. It's the best Tuesday dining value, $9.99. Kids 5 and under eat free today from that kids menu. They can safely play in the world-class game room, quietly tucked away from the dining area while you finish up your meal. Stop today after school. Check this out. The Wednesday all-you-can-eat fish fry is just $7.99. Whoa! That's crazy. From 2 till 5 today, beers, cocktails, and appetizers are half price. The Mine Shaft in beautiful downtown Hartford and just off Highway 41 in Oshkosh, right near EAA. Walk in today for the Tuesday all-you-can-eat Mexican buffet for under $10. MineShaftRestaurant.com. It's the amazing Mine Shaft.
Hanging out with Jeremy Janine. For some reason, I always have trouble saying your first name. Jeremy Janine, Urban Milwaukee. Great reporter, great local political reporter as well. We'll do two things. We're going to do one each segment. This budget fight at City Hall, apparently next Friday is Adoption Day, right?
Yep. This Thursday is the big amendment day. That's actually where most of the
What's most exciting in the amendments?
We haven't seen a lot of them be publicly released yet. There's going to be
top secret.
To tease our next segment, there's going to be a fight about the cruise ship dock.
Yeah, which I really want to talk about.
The council actually struck early before it could even get to the amendment process, and this is the big thing we'll talk about. They stripped $2.4 million from the mayor's budget proposal already.
Is he angry about that?
He is certainly angry. He did his "I'm angry, hold me back" thing, which I joke about sports fights.
Really?
Where he didn't veto the file. He just returned it unsigned, which is
nice.
Over my dead body, but okay.
So it's not a can't we all get along scenario going on there.
No, and budgets are always kind of a hard feeling window until about the end of November. If Harris wins, I think there'll be a general better mood come adoption day.
It's tied to the election.
At least the mood in the room, I'm sure.
The actual vote's not tied to the election, right? Or is that something they always do?
No, it's not tied to the
right.
I'm just talking the general mood of everyone involved.
Yeah. Well,
mostly
knowing the
all
city
Democrats.
as well as we do, I think that's not surprising. Anything else that's interesting in sort of these, it's sort of kept under wraps, but what might happen?
Well, there's a move. The mayor he has his Raise and Revive program. Alderman Robert Bauman's been very critical that, hey, there's lots of raising, there's not a lot of reviving, so we're in the business of creating vacant lots. He wants to strip some money from that to do more fixing up of homes that are more complicated to fix up that the city could then sell. Now, most of those homes end up being in his district, the historic Concordia neighborhood on the west side, a lot of historic mansions. Will the rest of the council go along with that? Big question there. The cruise ship dock, big question. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And then what the council just cut from the mayor's budget. They kept $2.4 million. We'll call it a slush fund. It's not quite that. But if community-led transformation fund, they allow the community in the future to come say, hey, we want this program. Okay, we have $250,000 for you. But what they cut is library building repairs, cameras for reckless driving. And what I mean for that is not that they would issue tickets, but that they would monitor kind of the situation, help the police really tackle tough spots. And then they also cut down on road paving, which are all things the council actually usually adds money for, and now they've taken money away.
Yeah, so this transformation fund is sort of interesting. These are like sort of feel-good projects that they want the liberty to kind of dole out when they think they're worthy?
The inspiration for it was the end of the ARPA grant, the big $400 million federal grant that the council said, okay, there's a timeline coming up. Let's do these moves that we can actually take property tax dollars back. They did a bunch of moves to have this long-term money. The mayor said, actually, I want that to plug budget holes. The council said, no, we're going to keep that, and we want to be able to dole it out to groups.
All right, so the mayor's not in the best state of mind, but I'm sure he'll be happier if Kamala Harris wins next week. We shall see what happens with that. But we'll take a break. I want to talk about this cruise ship dock, which is, I was under the impression it was what I was seeing when I go over the Home Bridge in the morning, this southernly new one. That's not the one that we're talking about, right?
That is not the one. This is going to go next to the Lake Express Ferry.
Okay, so that's that different spot than I thought. All right, so we'll get to that. Anybody who's driven over the Home Bridge this summer has seen the cruise ships. I mean, this is a significant new business, right? So last few years, I know that the former director of the ports, Adam Schlicht, had worked on this project. I know the new director's sort of focused on this. We'll get to that and some other details about all of those interesting things happening in Milwaukee. Local focus, Jeremy Janine, Urban Milwaukee. How can folks find your great writing?
UrbanMilwaukee.com.
All right, quick break. 620 WTMJ.
I'm Laura Strobel. My husband Dewey has worked tirelessly to reduce the cost of living, improve our schools, and keep our neighborhoods safe. And despite false accusations, I know he supports women's access to contraception and fertility treatments like IVF. Dewey cares about making sure our family and yours can make a life and a living right here in southeastern Wisconsin. He's running for re-election, and our family is so proud to support him. Vote Dewey Strobel on November 5th.
Rising costs are stretching my family's budget and making it hard to make ends meet. That's why I'm voting for Dewey Strobel for State Senate. Dewey has what it takes to work across party lines, cut taxes, and return the state surplus to hardworking families. With Dewey Strobel representing us in Madison, we will have strong schools, safe communities, and more money in our pockets. Join me in voting for Dewey Strobel on November 5th.
Paid for by Dewey for Senate. It's bird bashing season when you swoop into Potawatomi. Thursdays, you could win up to a wicked 50 grand cash in the Bird Bash Game Show. Just play with your rewards card all October for entries. All Bird Bash entries go towards a December 20th giveaway with a monstrous 300 grand in prizes. Bird Bash makes its bewitching return. Only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Learn more at paysbig.com/birdbash. Must be 21 years old to play.
I'm WTMJ's Sandy Max. What makes senior living at Three Pillars so special? Let's hear from Three Pillars resident Lola.
When I was new, I come in and sit down, and people join me. And you get to know people, talk about feeling welcome. Art class is first early in the morning. Right now, I'm also involved in being a production assistant with a theater group. Every month, they have a supper club with a different theme. First one that I went to, they had a luau. I am so lucky to have ended up in this place, and I think it's one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Schedule a tour today at threepillars.org.
Fleet Farm's got everything you need for everyday life. Brands from Carhartt to Milwaukee to Purina to Goodyear to Rapala to Levi's and a whole lot more. In-store or online, check out all the brands Fleet Farm carries to help make your everyday life better.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Frank Pasternak of Pasternak and Zergabel. Jeff Zergabel and I are injury attorneys living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
Hey, John Mercure here for Guthrie and Fry Water Conditioning. We're cooking more at home now. We're working out at home. We're hydrating more at home. Guthrie and Fry make sure the water in my house is crisp, clean, and clear. I've got their water softener. I've got an RO system that filters my water. I know that quality products and services at a fair price from a local company is something I can trust. That's Guthrie and Fry Water Conditioning. Comprehensive, reliable products, fixed rental rates, Guthrie and Fry.
Better water makes a big difference. Guthrie and Fry.
Jeremy and Janine sitting in studio with me from urban Milwaukee. All right, this cruise ship dock is sort of an interesting one. We were chatting during the break. I thought it was something else. They're working on a pier now, but it's actually going to be more south towards the towers that are over there, sort of where the that fill area is that's currently underway.
Yeah, if I could, the challenge in reporting on this, and you've indicated this by your questions to
confusing.
me, is, there's no addresses over there. It's just the port.
Yeah, I know.
So two landmarks to think about. If you're looking at a map, take East Lincoln Avenue and just drive straight into the lake.
Right.
That'll about get you north-south where it is.
Yeah.
If you want to get more precise, look up where the Lake Express Ferry Terminal is. It's going to go just east of that. What you're seeing construction on to the north is essentially a giant concrete bathtub for this, what's called the Area of Concern effort. Massive environmental cleanup, about $300 million, I think, latest figure. Supposed to be done sometime in like 2028. But any little dredging you see as far north as Cedarburg, way out west in the Menominee River.
That's where it goes.
That's where all that soil is going to go. And the reason it's concrete is because some of it's going to be contaminated and they want to keep it safe in there.
Sort of the amazing thing about that story is we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, and most people look at it and go, oh, it's landfill. And they don't even think about all the money and all the effort that goes into it, all the lawsuits and all the federal efforts to get these things done. They think about the fancy stuff. Oh, there's a new dock. But that's really a major piece of what's happening along our lakefront.
Yeah, and this is the area of concern that we're going afield here, but this is important. About $400 million effort, mostly federally funded. We Energies is involved, legacy cost, and that gets to the complications you talked about. But the big thing is it's going to remove this federal designation that our waters are not clean enough.
Yeah.
And that'll just be huge for recreation and natural life and everything.
And as far as the cruise ship dock, the reason why they need a sort of a bigger area is because it's the end of one cruise and the start of another, so you have almost double the passengers flocking to that location.
That's why cruising is good for Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Milwaukee is geographically in a good spot that they start in Montreal, they end up here. They start in Lake Superior, they end up here. And then the boat turns around with new passengers, goes the other way. The reason they need this new dock is the boats now are so big. They're what's called Seaway Max.
Yeah.
And what that means is it's the biggest boat that can possibly fit through the Great Lawrence Seaway.
Yeah. And if you don't think cruising is popular, look at some of the industry numbers. Cruising is as popular as ever. And I correct me if I'm wrong, they're actually retroing Navy Pier now to handle these ships because they didn't have a way to dock these ships before, apparently.
Well, that's the fear for the city of Milwaukee is that Navy Pier kind of awakens a sleeping giant and gets in. They're not doing these Seaway Max vessels necessarily that Milwaukee is going for. The Seaway Max vessel is this massive Viking ship that you see on the inner harbor, and the city knows that aesthetics-wise, they're docking at a freight industrial port next to the sewage treatment plant. It's not a way to keep that business long-term. There's more of these big ships coming online from other cruise operators, so the city thinks, okay, if we don't get Viking, we'll get someone else. We'll get them in a long-term agreement. The challenge is that the cost of that dock has gone from $7 million to $17 million.
Yeah, which is, given the tight budgets that we're talking about, it is a challenge for the lawmakers in Milwaukee. All right, so cruise ships are one of those stories. That industry is, you're only caring about some part of the population, not everybody. But there's a reason why this matters. This is my opinion. The reason why this matters, you bring people and introduce them to Milwaukee. You see some of the things that those people go. They go to the Calatrava. They go to the restaurants. They stay at the hotels if they're not staying on the cruise ship. All of that stuff, because sometimes people extend their vacations, which I've done on many cruises. You stay longer because you like where you're going. That's all good for our economy, our local economy. And let's be honest, we have people that live in and around Milwaukee that never, ever do anything in Milwaukee other than go to a Brewers game and a Bucks game. That's it. They don't eat at the restaurants. They don't stay at the hotels. That's why that matters.
Absolutely. The argument is it generates airplane flights. It fills up hotel rooms. It actually helps the rest of the industrial complex that is the port by selling services to the ships. That's the argument for it. The concern is that it's very tough to actually put an exact number on that. How much does it generate? The port generates something like $300,000 a year in direct fees. But their argument is, no, this is much bigger. It's an economic investment for the entire region.
Yeah, it's good economic news. And if you're not a cruise lover, or you're saying, why should we do this? The reason is the economy, local economy, all that stuff matters, and it drives a lot of other business. Jeremy, Janine, Urban Milwaukee, we'll talk to you next week, and you'll do some election night coverage for us from the accounting place in Milwaukee.
Yeah, absolutely. Central Count. Make your plan to vote now, and thanks for having me.
All right, always good. We'll take a break, talk to Kristen Bry, spanning the states, see what's on her mind after this on 620 WTMJ.
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Saturday afternoon at 2. Join John each week as he challenges financial advice you've been given and reaffirms what you know to be true. If your financial plan doesn't include taxes, insurance, estate planning, and investing, it's incomplete and you can't afford to miss out. At Creative Planning, we provide all the expertise, all the advice you need, all in-house. To learn more, visit creativeplanning.com/radio.
Wisconsin families are getting crushed today. We're paying more for food, clothes, gas than ever. Our open border has allowed over 10 million illegal immigrants into our country the last 4 years, driving up the cost of health care and housing for every one of us. What's more, it's allowed fentanyl to pour into our communities, killing our friends and family. Kamala Harris and Senator Baldwin's policies created all these problems. It's time for change. I'm Eric Hovde, and that's why I'm running for the U.S. Senate. For too long, these career politicians have failed our country. They're all talk, no action. I'm not anything like these people. I'm a business guy who lives in a world where actually solving problems matters. We need to lower the cost of food, close our southern border, build more affordable housing, and fix our healthcare system. I'm Eric Hovde, candidate for the U.S. Senate, and I approve this message because it's time for change.
Paid for by Hovde for Wisconsin.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Any exterior remodeling company can give you a lot of good reasons to get a new roof, siding, windows and doors, or masonry work. Aesthetic appeal alone or just resale value help it all make sense. But I'm compelled to continue to tell you what sets Semper Fi apart from the rest. What you're going to get from Semper Fi is a reputation that is backed by an undeniable stack of proof that we are who we say we are. Our character is guided by a level of trust and accountability which not only holds our teams together, but also keeps our reputation intact. And ultimately, that means leaving you satisfied. So when you're about to make that big investment in your home, isn't that what you want? This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
It started with a prediction.
Gonna go out there and play basketball and win.
And how many games?
6.
It became the culture.
Chance of Bucks in 6.
Being a Bucks fan means you live and breathe Bucks in 6. Brandon Jennings created the prophecy. Tune into Behind the Bucks, the story of Brandon Jennings on the Bucks Plus audio network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and streaming wherever you get your podcasts.
That's for the culture.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
All right, I got a few minutes with my pal
You
Kristen
gave me the
Ryan.
chump change.
No, I didn't give you the chump
Only a
change.
couple minutes left. I got in here early just for now. It's okay. I'm always here this time.
I feel bad. I'll record a podcast with you right after this.
Oh, will you?
How does that make you? How does that make us feel? Anyway, we only have a few minutes, but I got to talk to you about this because it's driving me nuts. I literally don't think that anybody who's voting cares what any of the candidates say, what any of us say. It's like all tuned out now. They're just doing whatever they want.
I don't know. I think the Puerto Rico. I think the Tony Hinchcliffe.
The crazy
Puerto Rico
stuff,
thing.
yes.
I think that could make a difference.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Beyond that, I think for the people who were already decided, yes.
Because I had this conversation
you're
upstairs
right.
with some teammates, and they're like, nah, everybody's already decided. Well, maybe Puerto Ricans haven't. And we're going to find out what
Or
the
maybe there
president
was people
says
who weren't
today.
going to vote.
Yeah,
maybe there was some Latino voters who weren't going to vote, or people who that was because it's been crazy. I was out yesterday and like watching the fallout from that has been and I don't know because it's not like it was off the cuff. Like that was in the monitor.
Yeah,
that was in the teleprompter.
Yeah.
And so that was approved by the campaign.
They even took out the C word. They did edit something.
Yeah, and so like that's the thing. As much as they're trying to distance themselves from it now, like that was loaded into the teleprompter. So that means it was approved by the campaign, and it was interesting having done some stand up and being friends with comedians. Like so much of comedy is knowing your audience, knowing the context of where you're performing. I also just don't think it was a well written joke. Like I think it was a poor, like even for a comedian of his caliber, like it was just a poorly written joke. It wasn't that funny. But it was also
He works with one of the big gambling websites.
Kill Tony is a huge platform. They sell out huge stadiums as far as when they do their live shows. Like
so he's well known.
He is well known
did
in
the
the
Tom
comedy
Brady
world.
roast for Pete's sake. So I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm watching this, and I obviously didn't watch the whole thing because it's hours and hours. It's like 6 hours long, so no one's going to watch the whole thing unless you're at it. I'm just seeing these comments, and I respect your opinion on the Puerto Rican one because that's a little bit different. That sort of went to a place nobody should go. And the other comments that he made referencing African Americans, also too far. But for the most part, it's just politics as noise. And I think the audience that was there probably, some liked it, some didn't maybe. They were quiet about it if they didn't. And then all of us who are consuming it now, we get the interpretation of what it was, right? We're going to get Trump's interpretation today. Probably backpedaling on the Puerto Rican comments, I'm imagining.
I mean, there is still video, right? Like there's video
It
of
exists,
what happened.
yes,
And so
yeah.
it's not like an interpretation of, a school board meeting that only one reporter was at and it's their interpretation. Like there's video of what happened.
Okay, to that point, I could literally play right now, and I'm not going to ask producer Jasmine to do this, 60 seconds of Trump and unedited, and people go, oh, that's edited. He didn't say, he didn't mean that.
Well, that's just because we can't agree on the truth anymore.
But that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. It's like so baked in as, who says baked in? Somebody says it all the time.
I was just having this conversation before we walked in here as far as, I think part of the reason why everyone feels, and I won't say everyone, 7 out of 10 people, according to the APA report that came out earlier this year, of 7 out of 10 people's leading stressor in life right now, as of August 2024, is politics.
Yeah.
I certainly consider myself one of those. And I think the thing that's so daunting about this is no matter who wins, I don't think a lot of the things that are so stressful and anxiety fueling go away. Like I don't see us all of a sudden becoming more united and more trusting of our news sources, regardless of who wins. I don't see us either side calming down, like the side that loses calming down.
No. Messy is the word I use.
Yeah. And so it's like, I don't know how, people smarter than me maybe know, but I don't, of how we move on from where we how terrible it feels right now.
Well, once we get a settled race, whatever that means,
Whatever that means.
we all lived through 2020, and God, we're still talking about that. Whenever we get a settled race, my strategy is I'll talk about politics, but not presidential politics, because frankly, there's no way to make sense out of this stuff anymore. It's just so insane.
And that I've had that thought a lot as far as no matter what happens after next week, the doubling down on local and statewide politics and issues and stuff where you feel like you can make a bigger difference. Because in the follow-up to that APA report, I've also been almost every news outlet right now has some kind of outlets like how to deal with election anxiety. And a lot of it is, no, big shock, put down your phone. Choose how much news you're consuming. But also, a lot of it comes down to being in action instead of just consuming information and actually being involved with things where you can feel the difference that you're making. And ultimately, that also comes back to local and statewide issues.
Full disclosure, yesterday I played some of those nasty clips from that rally because I didn't want to hear people say, I just tune that out. Okay, if you're listening to my show, you're going to hear the damn clips. I don't care if you don't like them. This is what's being said. So you can pretend, and maybe you're protecting yourself in your cocoon of I don't care about politics, I only care when I go vote. But I wanted to play those clips because this is what people were saying out loud to a rally for a candidate for president. That's why I did it. And trust me, I got a lot of hate mail for it. I don't care. You need to hear these things.
You have thicker skin than I do, I think.
I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows?
Kristen Bry, spanning the state along with Brian Noonan. She's back. He's back. And we're going to record a podcast right after this, so I'm excited. I don't even know what we're talking about.
This will be our diving board.
We'll do our best.
We'll jump off from here.
The news is next, right here on 620 WTMJ.
Panic strikes as you realize on Wednesday that Thursday is your anniversary. The reservations being secured.
We'll see you at 8.
The gift being purchased. Yeah, you